Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Happy Sunday. If you're watching this live, it is Sunday. We love Sundays, don't we? Well, I don't know about you, but I do. I love Sundays. So it's been a nice Sunday so far. I've done some videos. I've had a nice lunch. I'm having a little glass of vino. That's what Sundays are all about, isn't it? Relaxing. And anyway, I've actually made it to this live. Oh, it's all been chaos over the last couple of days. Anyway, I've made it to the live and I've made it on time. I've got 1,000,001 things to talk about. I've got a little list here. And then just before I came on live, something else that I saw that I thought I want to talk about that. What? I thought I heard a noise. I swear there's a ghost in this house. Anyway, so just to let you know. Oh, God, that was so weird. Anyway, just to let you know, I've got an extra thing now that I want to talk about. So I've got a list of about 6 things that I just want to talk about. So none of them I'm going into great depth. I'm just going to have a little chat about each of these things that I think you might find interesting. It'll give you all a chance to have a chat. I know you all like to have a chat between yourselves about all sorts of things. And yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to chat. And you know what? As soon as I finish this video, I'm going to go and have a nap. Because I've been up since about 6:30. It's all been a bit chaotic and I feel like a nap. But I've got all these important things to tell you about. But first of all, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for anything you do to support my channel. Special thank you to my members. Special thank you to people who buy me a coffee. Send me a super sticker. Send me nice emails. Leave me nice messages. PayPal me, anything you do to support my channel. Thank you so much. Okay, so before we get going, I'm going to say hello to all you lurkers as normal. Hello to replay crew. And now I'm going to go in and say hello to those of you who are brave enough to come into this scary chat. Let's have a look. So, hi Admit, hi Angel, hi David. Oh, so thank you for chatting. I know you like to chat. I think you like to chat with each other much more than you actually want to listen to me. Now, I may do a little waffle in this, you know, the waffle. There may be a little bit of waffle, but some of the things I need to tell you about, they are important as well. So I don't want to waffle too much. So I'm going to start straight away, quickly, with the story, if you like, the thing that it is actually a 2-day-old story, but I've only just seen it. I just want to tell you about something that is very sad. So I want to say, do you know, we all remember the case of Jamie Bulger, the little boy who was taken away from his mum in a shopping centre. I think this is an international case that most people probably know about from all over the world. This little boy, I've never really covered it in a video. I can't because it upsets me too much. It's heartbreaking. And I couldn't do a deep dive on it because it's just too traumatic. And again, this is a family, the Bulger family. I just don't know how they've coped, how they, you know, I suppose you cope because you have to. You get up day in, day out. There's other children in this family. Denise, James's mum, she's had to cope, hasn't she? She really hasn't had a choice. But the thing that I want to tell you about that is very, very sad, and this is how, you know, crimes, their ripples, they don't just stick sort of with the victim themselves or even the victim's family. So what's happened was the person who found the man who found James Bulger's body has died himself. Now, I say the man, I mean, he's a man now, or he was a man before he died, but he was just a teenager when he found James's body. Now, could you imagine what that was like? Find it, and let's not forget, and I'm not going to go into gory details, but James's body was mutilated, let's say, one way or another, wasn't it? So to actually, it's bad enough to find a body. Amplify that with the fact it was a child's body, and amplify that with the fact that this body was mutilated. Must have been so traumatic for this guy, who he himself now has died. I think he was only 44 years old, or in his early 40s. So the man who found James Bulger's body died after swallowing packets of drugs before his arrest. So James Riley, 44, was pronounced dead in hospital after being discovered unresponsive on the floor of his cell only hours after he was arrested by officers on suspicion of drug offences. And a jury inquest. Now, it's unusual to have a jury inquest. I didn't know anything about this before. I've not seen anything about it. It just literally caught my eye about 2 hours ago. So a jury inquest heard before Liverpool and Wirral senior coroner Andre Rebello held over 6 days, a 6-day inquest at the Gerard Majella Courthouse in Kirkdale, and concluded that Mr. Riley's medical cause of death was cocaine and heroin toxicity. It just seems like every case we ever do has got some drugs involved in it these days, isn't it? Anyway, so very sad for Mr. Riley, and also, of course, for his family. The inquest was called in to look into if the decision not to take Mr. Riley for hospital on the day of his arrest before he collapsed contributed to his cause of death. And the court also heard that Mr. Riley suffered an extremely traumatic incident when he was a teenager, which was confirmed to his finding of the body of, can't even say the body of toddler James Bulger without getting upset. In previous appearances in court, Mr. Riley's defence said he suffered with depression and post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of finding James's body. Robert Thompson and John Venables, both aged 11, I mean, can't get your head around that, can you? Were found guilty in 1993 of killing the 2-year-old. Mr. Rebello told the jury that Mr. Riley was arrested at around 8:46 p.m. by 2 officers. Arresting officer PC Graham Hurd told the court he observed Mr. Riley on a pedal cycle and concluded he looked like he was in possession of what I thought was going to be drugs. This is little James. PC Hurd, who is part of a matrix unit which specialised in disrupting organised crime, said he made the decision to use force to apprehend Mr. Riley and decided to make contact with the front wheel of his bike with the front of his car, and the Merseyside cops said this was less risk to everybody. The court heard that PC Hurd made contact with the bike with the force equivalent of pushing someone off the bike. Mr. Riley was eventually rugby tackled to the ground by PC Hurd and arrested on suspicion of possession of a controlled drug with intent to supply, after he was found with 3 large bags of brown powder. His detention was authorised at the St Anne Street police station. The custody sergeant determined he was intoxicated and he was placed on a rest period until the following morning. Shortly before 10 a.m, he was seen by a healthcare professional who noted that his presentation suggested he may have self-medicated in custody. A strip search was conducted, but nothing was found. Later, after a further 4-hour rest period was authorised after 2, Mr. Riley was returned to his cell at 3:22, and a detention officer saw him lying on the floor at 4:57. Staff were called to the cell, and the healthcare professional administered naloxone to reverse the effects of opiates and diazepam to prevent further seizures. An ambulance was called and Mr. Riley arrived at the Royal Liverpool University Hospital at 5:47. He arrived in cardiac arrest and he was pronounced dead at 6:15. A post-mortem examination found he had 3 packages of heroin and a small block of unpackaged crack cocaine in his stomach. Dr. Matthew Lyle, who carried out the post-mortem, also found a piece of plastic wrapping in his airway, which more likely than not moved during resuscitation attempts. So do you think that this poor guy tried to swallow those drugs just so that he wouldn't, just to avoid prosecution for them? I mean, what do you think? People do swallow drugs, don't they, David? They do. Sorry, I'm just looking to see who's there. Hi, Geordie Lass. Hi, David. I can't remember if I said hello to Angel or not, but I'll say it again. Yeah. It's very sad. It's just tragedy. I just think tragedy, like in this case, this guy, he was only a teenager when he found James's body. I just can't imagine how traumatic that must have been. Now, maybe he would have ended up getting involved in drugs anyway. It was an area where people do get involved in drugs, and it could be that this poor guy would have ended up exactly the same way. But I think what we have to accept that what he went through, what he found, what he discovered, won't have helped, will it? So the inquest found that the reason for his presentation at various points on the Davis collapse can be established but can't be said to have contributed to his death. The medical assessments carried out on the Davis collapse may have presented a missed opportunity but can't be said to have contributed to his death. On the balance of probabilities, said the coroner, it is more likely than not that James swallowed the drugs before his arrival in custody, and the drugs concealed within James's stomach are more likely than not the source of the fatal drug toxicity. The inquest was attended by Mr. Riley's mum, Julie, who prepared a statement with Mr. Abello about her son. The court heard that Mr. Riley was well-mannered and dressed lovely when he was a boy. He had 3 younger siblings and was particularly close to his brother, Terence, with his mum describing the pair as lovable rogues. So I think that's it as far as this article is concerned. So I know that in another article that I was looking at, apparently, let's just have a look at this guy. Apparently his mum says, and she is his mum, so she's going to say that before he found James, I mean, he's 44 years old when he died, this guy. He looks a lot older on this photo, doesn't he? His face, his cheeks are hollowed. He looks like he's been taking drugs, doesn't he? I'm sorry, no offense to him, he just does. Would he have turned out differently if he wouldn't have had that traumatic find? Well, we'll never know that, will we? He may have turned out just the same. We just don't know. But I just wanted to share that with you, and I wanted to say to this guy and to his family, rest in peace. My heart breaks for him, because very, very traumatic for James, and now his family. I expect they've been through hell in a way with James because of all the problems he's had and that. But now he's gone and he's never coming back. And so I just wanted to say that. I'm going to say a little prayer. I'm saying a prayer as we speak. I'm not going to light the candle, because I found that the candles, when I light them, they really set off my sinuses and everything. And I've got a lot to get through. But yeah, maybe I've got a virtual candle here that I can put on. Hi, Darren. So sad, whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, it's always sad when someone of that age loses their life, addict or not. But I think, especially with what this poor guy, I'm lighting a virtual candle for him, for James, and I hope his family are okay. That's a trauma. I mean, he's not just died recently, it's the inquest that's been recently, but okay, so that's the first thing. That wasn't even on the list. I've got a lot of things that I want to talk to you about. Right, so the next thing I want to talk to you about, let's see. Now, this is a missing man, missing in Scotland. And I saw this on TikTok, on a TikTok sort of content creators site. I hadn't seen about this before, but some of you I know have got quite a lot of followers in Scotland. You may have heard about this. This is Cole Cooper, 19 years old, who has disappeared without a trace in Falkirk in Scotland. And family and friends of this teenager who disappeared near Falkirk have gathered in a search for him more than 2 weeks after he went missing. So apparently he was last seen at 7:30 on Wednesday the 7th of May on the A803 in his home village of Banknock. Now, we've got quite a lot of CCTV from this that I'm hoping I'm going to be able to show you. And what's sort of suspicious, or that people are thinking is suspicious, Cole appears to be running away and looking behind him. Was somebody following Cole? Is this a case of foul play? His disappearance. Anyway, around 200 people have joined the search for Cole around fields and woodland in the Banknock and Cumbernauld areas, and his brother Connor said the weeks since he was last seen have been hell for the family. He said, "We just want to know where he could be. My brother knew loads of people, and the fact that nobody knows anything is a concern for us. If you know anything, just come forward. Even if you could be with my brother, please let him know he's not in trouble. We want to make sure he is safe. We want him home." Connor described his brother as the most loving, caring boy. He said the search was not necessarily about finding Cole, but looking for a clue to help the family know what steps to take next. On Friday, Police Scotland renewed an appeal in efforts to trace Cole. Now, I just want to say that as we go along with this video, I'm going to talk about all these different cases. I will be then at some point, maybe not tonight, I'm not sure when, be cutting this video up, and so I will be releasing these information, these news items separately, because they get more attention that way. Cole had been staying in Falkirk but was last captured on CCTV around 6 a.m. on Sunday the 4th of May in the Longcroft area after a night out at the pub with his friends. Inspector Neil Wotherspoon said officers were continuing to review CCTV footage, hold door-to-door inquiries and were speaking to witnesses. And he said Cole has now been missing for a significant amount of time. And is it out of character? Oh, it is out of character, that should be, I think, for him not to be in contact with family or friends. I urge anyone who may have seen Cole or a man matching his description to report any sightings to us. Cole is described as around 5 foot 10 inches tall, medium build with short brown hair. He was last seen wearing a black puffer-style jacket with black jogging bottoms. Do you know anything? Do you live in that area? Did you see Cole? He has links to the Denny, Cumbernauld and Paisley areas, and Police Scotland has set up a public portal and urged anyone with information to get in touch. And of course, his family, I could go into the appeals from the family, but I will go into detail more about Cole's case. But as far as this video is concerned, I've just going through a few stories that I want to talk about. Now, I am just going to see if I can find the CCTV to show you. It's available, definitely. Here we go. I just want to say before we look at this, he does... he's running away and he does look spooked. There's no doubt about it, he does.
Camera, but it has left his family feeling unsettled after he appeared spooked and was seen running.
Yeah, so he was running away and he was looking back. Start again.
The last known sighting of a missing Falkirk teenager has been captured on a doorbell camera, but it has left his family feeling unsettled after he appeared spooked and was seen running. Cole Cooper from Batnick, Falkirk, was last seen over a week ago in the early hours of Sunday, May 4th. The 19-year-old, who has links to Glasgow, Paisley and Cumbernauld, had attended a pub in the Denny area before heading to a friend's party around 3 a.m.
There we go again. Attended a friend's party at around 3 a.m. We've seen that with Jack. It reminds me a bit of the Jack O'Sullivan case. Let's just go back to see when this starts off. Like, he doesn't look concerned here. He's just walking, looking at his phone here. He's completely...
The last known sighting of a missing Falkirk teen.
He's not concerned at all, is he, on that particular doorbell camera or CCTV or whatever it is? He's looking at his phone. He doesn't actually look that drunk either. Sometimes when we look at videos like this of young people, they're staggering or they look like maybe they've had a bit to drink like Jack O'Sullivan did. I wouldn't say particularly on this video, he looks very sort of assured, doesn't he?
Teenager has been captured on a doorbell camera, but it has left his family feeling
But then this bit where he's actually running away, why is he running away? Who is he running away from, or what is he running away from?
Unsettled after he appeared spooked and was seen running. Cole Cooper from Batnick, Falkirk, was last seen over a week ago in the early hours of Sunday, May 4th. The 19-year-old, who has links to Glasgow, Paisley and Cumbernauld, had attended a pub in the Denny area before heading to a friend's party around 3 a.m. His worried family say he has not been in contact since. New footage has now emerged of the missing teenager after he left the party. Doorbell cameras captured Cole walking down Nisbet Drive in Denny at 4:59 a.m. He was then seen in video footage arriving at his dad's home on Mayfield Drive in Longcroft, Bonnybridge at 5:49 a.m.
Yeah, strange, isn't it? So he was running, then he arrived at his dad's house, apparently.
Data collected from Cole's phone shows it was last used in the early hours of Sunday, May 4th. He has not responded to any messages from friends or family or social media since. Cole was last seen wearing a grey hoodie, grey and orange Yeezy trainers, and black Nike joggers.
Is that a grey hoodie? Doesn't look like a hoodie to me. It just looks like a t-shirt. But anyway, they're saying it's a grey hoodie. Like, looks to be looking somewhere there. I mean, is somebody following him? Did he knock on his dad's door? Did his dad answer the door? You know, it's a bit of a mystery, isn't it, the whole thing?
Anyone with information is asked to contact officers on 101, quoting reference 08280905. The last known sighting of a missing Falkirk teenager has been captured on a doorbell camera, but it has left his family feeling unsettled after he appeared spooked and was seen running. Cole Cooper from Backnick, Falkirk, was last seen over a week ago in the early hours of Sunday, May 4th. The 19-year-old, who has links to Glasgow, Paisley and Cumbernauld, had attended a pub in the Denny area before heading to a friend's party around 3 a.m. His worried family say he has not been in contact since. New footage has now emerged of the missing teenager after he left the party. Doorbell cameras captured Cole walking down Nisbet Drive in Denny at 4:59 a.m. He was then seen in video footage arriving at his dad's home on Mayfield Drive in Longcroft, Bonnybridge at 5:49 a.m. Data collected from Cole's phone shows it was last used in the early hours of Sunday, May 4th. He has not responded to any messages from friends or family or social media since. Cole was last seen wearing a grey hoodie, grey and orange Yeezy trainers, and black Nike joggers. Anyone with information is asked to contact officers on 101, quoting reference 08280905.
On the outside.
The last known sighting of a...
Sorry. So, do you know anything about Cole? Can you help? You know, at the end of the day, the police are appealing for help. Cole, again, just like any other missing person that we ever talk about, he has not disappeared off the face of the earth. Cole is somewhere. Somebody knows where he is. Do you know anything? You know, phone the police and try and put this family out of their misery. Okay.
Judith Barcy seemed to have it all. At just 10 years old, she'd appeared in multiple film and TV roles. She'd been in Cheers and Jaws, The Revenge, amongst dozens of others. Sadly, her father, Joseph, wasn't...
I'm not sure what was going on there. Anyway. Okay, let me just see that you're okay in chat. I don't think there's anybody that I've missed. Hi, Mello. Now, David, you probably know that area, don't you? You probably know that area. Hi, Pam. Yeah, somebody knows where this young boy is. Just that, you know, this is my nightmare, as you know, when Number One song goes out. As I say, a couple of weeks ago, him and his friends walked home 3.5 hours along a canal, along the side of a canal, I found out. But, I mean, there was quite a few of them, but they were all absolutely drunk. So it only takes one to fall in and then someone tries to help them. You know, luckily for me, I didn't find out about this till the next day, but it's like, oh my God, you know, your kids go out, your adult children, they go out and you have no clue. They drink, they take substances, whatever it is they do, and you can't control it. And you've just got to hope for the best, haven't you? It's really pretty scary, I think, you know. All right. Yeah. Now, he went to his dad's house. Why? And if he went to his dad's house, maybe his dad was asleep, you know. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know what's happened to him. I just want to draw it to people's attention because I have quite a lot of chatters in the Scotland area. Somebody might know something. You know, at the end of the day, there's always an outside chance that somebody who's watching this video, for whatever reason, just might know something. Okay, where am I going now? Now, this was a very, you may or may not have heard about this. I don't know if it made, it certainly made the Spanish news. I don't know if it made news all over the world, but there was an assassination in Madrid of a Ukrainian I think is he an ex-MP? Let's have a look. So this guy, what's his full name? Andrei Portnov, Ukrainian, living in Spain, living in Madrid, took his children to the private school where they were enrolled. I think it was a private school anyway, in Madrid, dropped his children off, and then he was shot. It was definitely a hit. Because the last shot that he was given was in his head. It was, you know, a hit job. Obviously, the article I've got up here is in Spanish, but I'm going to translate it. So, a witness to the murder of Portnov said to the police, he returned, meaning the hitman, well, presumably it was a man, it could have been a woman. The hit person returned and shot him again as he was lying on the floor with one shot in his head. One of the people who did it was wearing a grey t-shirt and escaped on a motorbike. Well, we've heard that, you know, motorbikes. Oh my God, that's like the case of Valeria. I've got a few things to say about Valeria in this video. But of course that's in Mexico. But yeah, they always go off on a motorbike, don't they? Because it's quicker, I suppose, with another person. So there were two of them. Again, is that common, do you think, that when hits are made, as in Valeria's case, there's normally two people, just one there just in case anything goes wrong? However, the murder group, if you like, in Madrid, the murder, what would we call that in English? The murder squad do not discount that there might have been other people involved in this. So imagine those poor children. He's dropped his children off at school. Anyway, so the murderer that this was Wednesday just gone, finished the life of Andrei Portnov in the door of the school of his children, said that the last shot in the head, he's an ex-politician, he's a Ukrainian politician. Now, the thing is, obviously everyone's going to think, oh, Russia, something to do with Russia, but it could well be to do with Ukraine. I mean, the thing is, there's a lot of Ukrainians now living in Spain, just as there are in the UK, and something, you know, which is, you know, there's good and bad in every people. I've met lots of nice Russian people, and I've met lots of nice Ukrainian people. But do you know what? There's nobody knows who did this, who shot this guy. To me, the shocking thing was he'd literally just dropped his children off at school, and then he was shot right there and then in Madrid in broad daylight. You know, terrifying. So he was murdered in the full light of day, around about 9:15 in the morning at the doors of the American school in Madrid, where he just dropped off his children after taking them in a high range vehicle. So he's obviously got a posh car. At that time, there were various people who were present at the event. Let's see. Yeah, there's a little police video here.
Una manta térmica cubre el cuerpo del hombre asesinado. Es el expolítico ucraniano Andrei Pornov. Al filo de las 9 de la mañana, acababa de dejar a 2 hijas en este colegio de Pozuelo y ya junto a su coche recibe...
Yo estaba durmiendo y he escuchado pues unos 6-7 disparos.
Varios impactos de bala.
So that girl who just spoke then, she lives in the student accommodation nearby, and she just said she was sleeping and she heard these shots. Let me just find her again. Yeah, she was asleep in the student accommodation nearby and she heard these shots.
Pues unos 6-7 disparos.
6 or 7 shots.
Varios impactos de bala.
Presentaba lesiones incompatibles con la vida ocasionadas por 3 disparos al menos.
En la espalda.
So that's one of the paramedics and just said, you know, he had various injuries that were incompatible with survival, really. So, well, 7 shots will do that, won't it?
Espalda y en la cabeza. Varios agentes inspeccionan.
But the final shot was in his head. This is how they think it was a hit, but, you know, not just the crime of passion or something like that. This was a hit because then one of those people went back to him, made sure he was finished off by shooting him in the head.
En la zona y localizan 5 casquillos de bala. Revisan también el maletero del vehículo y recogen el testimonio de varias personas que hablan de hasta 3 individuos. Uno de ellos encapuchado.
Yeah, they're saying that maybe even 3 people were involved, and one of them had a hoodie on.
Y vestido de negro, aunque no.
Dressed in black, of course. It's always a man in black, isn't it? You know, the trouble is, you know, looking for a man in black, it could be anyone.
Descartan que se haya cambiado de ropa tras disparar en el colegio.
No, todo está bien, está tranquilo todo.
And they said they've discounted, they said they didn't change clothes afterwards. That's what they're saying. And these, imagine you're just dropping your parents off at, just dropping your kids off at school, the parents dropping their kids off at school, and that happens right in front of them.
Dirección avisa de lo sucedido y muchos padres optan por recoger a sus hijos.
Para nosotros es también un shock.
Frente al centro hay una residencia de estudiantes.
¿Qué pasé?
So that was what they just showed there was the students' residence, and this girl, she's giving her experience.
Esto de enfrente donde tú vives.
And she says that when something like that happens right in front of where you live, it's terrifying. So she was woken up by the shots.
Da mucho miedo, la verdad.
Agentes a caballo, ayudados desde el aire por drones y un helicóptero, peinan la zona buscando al autor o autores del crimen. Muy cerca hay una arboleda y algo más alejada está la casa de campo. Pasadas las 2 de la tarde, empleados...
So, the police were there quite quickly. They sent the drones up there looking for the people who did it, but they haven't caught them yet.
De la funeraria procedían al levantamiento del cadáver.
So that was just something that I thought that was interesting here in Spain. You know, just how politics cross over borders, don't they? That's a war that's going on over there in, you know, obviously in Ukraine, the Ukraine-Russia war, but that doesn't mean, it may not have been anything to do with the war. This could be a Ukrainian thing. It might be nothing to do with Russians, you know, just don't know. We don't know where it is, but it was definitely a hit, wasn't it? Definitely a hit. It's, yeah. Okay, so that was the next thing I wanted to tell you about. Angel, they don't speak at a faster speed because my neighbours, but people I know that are Spanish, when I speak, you know, I was with some Spanish people one day and we were all chatting, and then somebody rang me, I can't even remember who, and I started speaking in English on the telephone. And when I came off the telephone, these Spanish people were like, "Oh my God, take a breath. Why are you speaking so quickly?" It sounds quick because it's not your natural language. They're not speaking any quicker than we speak. It's just the way it feels, because we don't you don't understand what they're saying. They feel exactly the same when we speak. So that's a language barrier thing, not a speak thing. Right, now, where am I going now? I've still got 1, 2, 3. I've still got 4 things to tell you about. Now, the first thing I want to say is, the next thing I want to say is, this is so interesting, is it? What do you think about this? I think it's a brilliant idea. And this has been on the news in Spain. So in the UK, they're talking about chemical castration for PDFs. It's all over the news, all over the world. CNN, all the Spanish news outlets. This is what is being considered. It's being considered. I mean, it's not law yet, obviously, but it's going to be trialed in 20 prisons. Let's have a look. What do you think? I think it's a brilliant idea. I've been saying it for years. I don't understand. I mean, personally, I would go that step further and do a bit of physical castration. Won't do any harm. But anyway, maybe that's a bit dramatic. But chemical castration for sex offenders is to be trialled in 20 prisons in the UK. So believe me, if it happens, don't forget it's just a suggestion so far. This is going to, in Spain, they'll take it up. They'll take it up in different countries. So the pilot for the voluntary chemical castration, it's voluntary, by the way. So these sex offenders have got to volunteer for it. Now, from what I've seen sometimes about PDFs speaking, they quite often would, I've heard them say, I don't want to do this, I just can't help the way that I feel I look upon children in an sex way for whatever reason. And, you can hate them, you can do whatever you want, but if they're brave enough to admit that this is just the way they feel and they don't understand themselves why they feel like that and they'd like to be different, this is a good option, isn't it? They're going to volunteer for this. It won't solve everything, because at the end of the day, if you want to sex abuse someone, you can do it with objects and stuff like that, can't you? But will this take away the desire to do it in the first place? Will it? I hope so. Anyway, we'll see. So Shabana Mahmood said she would expand a small pilot in southwest England to 2 regions after an independent sentencing review recommended that it continue. So it is in existence, and it's been recommended that it continue. You know what? It can't do any harm, can it? That's how I feel. It can, whether it works or not ultimately, I don't know. But how can it can only be a good thing, hopefully. So Mahmood is also exploring a national rollout of voluntary chemical castration for ex offenders and whether it could be made mandatory. I think they should make it mandatory. At the end of the day, when someone gets found guilty of doing this, they give up their rights, don't they, as far as I'm concerned. The children's rights are more important. If someone's been found guilty, obviously, not suggesting that you just do it for everybody, but sex offenders that have been found guilty, this is exactly, to me, what would be a good idea to do. If it just saved one child, it's got to be good, hasn't it? So no timeline for this decision has been set. And forensic psychiatry professor Don Grubin said he did not think the government would get the mandatory element of it off the ground. Why? As to simply make somebody take the treatment would be unethical. I understand about ethics. I've studied ethics at university, but how is this wrong ethics? Somebody's doing it voluntarily for a start. So how can that be against ethics when someone's volunteering to do it? It'll be someone who's already been found guilty of PDF, and he said, most doctors I know would be resistant to it. Well, do you know what? These doctors, they need to stop being resistant to it and start thinking about saving children. That's my opinion. You let me know. I know you'll all let me know what you think in comments. Hi, Moonbeam. Yeah, have the tackle removed. Well, do you know what? I don't know, maybe that's a little bit draconian. I'm not saying I disagree with you. I'm just saying that maybe would not get approved. But I think this should. Something needs to be done. Something needs to be done. Dave, I haven't got it written on a toilet roll. I've got it on my little pad. Okay. Of course, it's getting dark. It's starting to get dark now. I can't read it now. That's the problem. So, chemical castration finished. So, anyway, just an idea. I'm sure, as I say, you'll all give me your opinions, and all our opinions count. This is what my channel is for. Give your opinions. Some of us will agree, some of us won't, but we give our opinions, and as long as we're not nasty to each other, we can be nasty to those PDFs because, at the end of the day, they deserve it. Right, where am I going now? I've still got about 4 things to talk to you about. Let's go to this now. Now, this is a horrible story. I just want to warn you now. But it is a story about, it's sort of relevant because, we're always going, looking, since Jay Slater died in Tenerife, there's been a lot of attention in Tenerife. We're all going off Tenerife. So we've gone off Turkey because of poor Beth and Luke and the family, the British family that from Portsmouth went off to Turkey, and now poor Beth died while she was in Turkey, and she had her heart removed, it seems. So we're all off Turkey now. We've been off Tenerife since it happened, since the tragedy that happened with Jay Slater. And we found out all the horrible things that happen in Tenerife. So that's why this story came to my attention, because it's Tenerife. So apparently, and I think really what I'm trying to say is, I live in Spain. I'm not saying Spain's a horrible place. It's not. It's lovely. 95%, 98% of people come out on holiday to Spain or anywhere else, to be honest. They have a great time. They sit by the pool, they go to the beach, nothing untoward happens to them. And then they go home after a great holiday, don't they? But I think what I'm always keen to tell people is don't leave your sensible head at home when you go on holiday. Don't go with your holiday head. Take precautions. You can still be robbed. You can still be mugged. You can still be RAPD'd. All these things that could happen to you walking down the street where you come from can happen to you in Spain or anywhere else that you go on holiday. Just happen to you in the sun, don't they? So apparently there's been this horrible discovery of 2 corpses with violent injuries found in a Tenerife holiday flat. after neighbours reported the smell. Now, these are not Brits. I think they're Italian. So they're believed to be a couple, foreign nationals. I think they're Italian. And they were found in the Caledonia Park complex in Costa Adeje. So something's obviously terrible has happened to this couple. Could have been a robbery. It could have been a crime of passion. It could be anything. We don't know yet. I think what I'm always trying to point out to people is just because you're on holiday does not mean you are safe from crime. Crime can happen anywhere. Whatever you would not do in your local town, don't do it, especially don't do it in a foreign country. And that, it reminds me of the McCanns a little bit. If you do believe the McCanns in their account, did they feel like it was safe to leave the kids because they were in a foreign country? I mean, for me, I don't buy that. I think it was safe for them to take the kids with them. The fact that they were in Portugal meant it's a family-friendly place. They could have taken their kids, no problem. And that's what they should have done. But anyway, they didn't. And, there's no point in going back. They didn't. And that's all there is to it. And whatever happened to Madeline happened to her. But yeah, I do think that people, they go on holiday, they take with them what I call their holiday head. They don't take the right precautions in all sorts of things. Now, this might not be from that. This might have been somebody they knew, until we find out the full details. But I'm just, as always, just trying to not stop people enjoying themselves when they go on holiday, but make them think about, where they go, not to think just because they're on holiday, nothing bad can happen to them. Bad things can happen anywhere. So you have to take the same precautions when you're abroad, when you're on holiday, just exactly the same precautions that you would take when you're at home. So it's caused a big shock. You can imagine they were unrecognisable, the bodies. They were both found in one of the rooms of the apartment, and early evidence points to a violent incident. And police were alerted after tourists staying in nearby rooms reported a bad smell in the community corridor. And it's understood that a reservation for the room was made by a young Italian who came to spend a season of rest in the south of Tenerife along with a woman. But the identities have not been confirmed yet. And the bodies have been transferred to the Institute of Legal Medicine of Santa Cruz de Tenerife for forensic tests. So again, just a warning to always take care wherever you go on holiday, always take care. Okay. So, yeah. Hey, listen, Angel, you're right. If they read down my list, this is what I always said. If the police ever broke into my house and went through if they went through my computer log, I'd get arrested immediately. My phone searches. And then if they read this list, as you say, it'd be like, what's that? Okay, so yeah, that was the Tenerife rotting corpses. So imagine if you found that on someone's list. Not the shopping list, is it? Like, pasta, eggs, blah, 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 blah. No, Tenerife rotting corpses. Oh, dear. Anyway, rest in peace, those poor people. Bless them. Okay, what's the next thing I want to look at? Viginia Guiffre has been buried secretly. So let's have a look at that. Now, do you know what? The more I think about Viginia, the more upset that I get. This poor woman, just so sad what she's gone through in her life. And then, you know, to end up deleting herself because, you know, she's obviously so unhappy. I mean, nobody deletes themselves if they're happy, do they? So, yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? Final goodbye. Prince Andrew accuser Viginia Guiffre's funeral held in secret in Australia as cops, I hate that word cops, police, release update on her tragic death. And her family confirmed her death and said she has been a lifelong victim of sex abuse. Now, the more that I see about Viginia, I just feel absolutely heartbroken for this woman, you know, and the more then that I look at her interviews and that and how you can see how vulnerable she was, you know, because of what happened to her from when she was a teenager. Because don't forget, supposedly, you know, I don't, will anyone ever know the truth? I mean, Virginia's not here to tell us her truth anymore. But was she abused even before, you know, she was abused like by Epstein and Andrew, etc.? You know, is it true that she was abused before that? Has she had this lifetime of abuse? Just so very sad, isn't it? Okay, let's have a look at this video.
Heartbreak. Virginia was not only a very brave advocate.
So the more I look at her videos now, I mean, I remember watching these when she came out speaking about Andrew. But when I look at them now, I see it from a different eye. She does look so terribly sad, so terribly vulnerable. Do you know who she reminds me of? I mean, you might think I'm being dramatic, but it's like that Marilyn Monroe sort of look, isn't it? Of wanting approval, wanting, I don't know, to do the right thing, but feeling so vulnerable inside. I don't know, she's got that vulnerable look about her, bless her. Rest in peace. I hope she is resting in peace now.
For herself, which is hard enough, standing up against what she went through, but for all sexual assault victims, she spoke out again and again. She was really a leader in the community. She was incredibly brave, and this is just devastating news. I think many of my clients in high-profile sexual assault cases, whether it was against Jeffrey Epstein or any other high-profile person, you know, really admired her, were inspired.
No, and it's especially relevant, isn't it? You know, it's always been relevant and it's been a massive story for years. But I think with the Diddy, you know, the Diddy mushroom trial, he sort of brought it all up again. How many women out there are being, or girls being abused? You know, it's such a fine line, isn't it? Now, Virginia was 17, so she was underage. But she could have been a year older and she would have been of age. And, you know, I still feel with Charlie Boy and Lady Diana, that was practically paedophilia. Because although she was over the age of consent, you know, he was so much older and the prince in love already with another woman, using her as a broodmare. This happens all the time. These young girls, they do get, what's the word? They get sort of taken advantage of. And then people later will say, oh, well, you know, she was a consenting adult and blah, de, blah, de, blah. Yeah, she was a consenting adult, but she was just so young. And Virginia wasn't a consenting adult. She was 17. And, you know, even if Prince Andrew turned round or Andy turned around and said, oh, I didn't know she was underage. Did he even ask? Didn't care, did he?
By her courage. Her social media posts were very moving and empowering to a lot of people. It's always a good time to come clean.
Oh, God, this horrible man. You know, this horrible man. Now, when she first died, I thought, oh, God, he'll be having a party, like, to celebrate it. But you know what? I think this will make it worse for him, because I think this has been a shock for people that maybe weren't on her side, maybe thinking that she was, she's being dramatic, or she's doing it for the money, or blah, de, blah, de, blah. And now see how vulnerable she was. And come in. Tia. Here. Right. Tia. Stop. You know, he did it to her. He didn't care. And she won't have been the only one. I mean, she's the only one that Prince Andrew has actually been, held account for. Not that he's been held to account properly, because, of course, he's never gone to prison or anything like that. But there'll be others. There'll be loads of others, probably. I don't believe for a minute that Viginia was the only one with Randy Andy, Party Prince. At first I thought, oh God, he'd be celebrating that she's not here anymore. But now I think it's going to make it even worse for him, because now people will feel more sympathetic towards her if they weren't before. They will feel more sympathetic.
To confess, to apologize to her family now, if not to her. And it's absurd for him to say he never met her when there's a photograph of him with her, probably taken by Jeffrey Epstein, and with Ghislaine Maxwell in the background. He's never been able to explain that photo. He's always said, well, maybe it was doctored. Well, he had at his disposal every forensic scientist who could have proved that, and never did. And Viginia always maintained that the photo was not doctored, that she wouldn't even know how to do that. And frankly, I believe her. So we know that he was close, Prince Andrew was, with Ghislaine Maxwell and with Jeffrey Epstein. We know that he...
Yeah, ultimately it comes down to, who do you believe? Who do you believe? PDF, Prince Andrew, Randy Andy, Party Prince, or do you believe Viginia? I mean, who's the most likely to be telling the truth? I know who I believe. And if people don't believe her, well, there's something wrong with them, in my opinion.
Went and visited Jeffrey Epstein after Epstein's first conviction in 2008, I think it was. And so that speaks volumes. And, I certainly hope that Prince Andrew is not going to benefit from this tragedy. Yeah. Viginia is like so many women who I have represented over the years. What you see in public is one face, but in private, there's so much pain. There's so often depression and suicidality. And a big part of what my team and I do as advocates for sexual assault victims is shoring them up, getting them to a good therapist, trying to get them strong enough to come in and testify. Sexual assault is so devastating to the psyche. And I wish she were still here. I wish I could give her a hug and tell her it's going to get better, that people love her and admire her. I will certainly never forget her. She was truly an inspirational young woman, so brave. And it's just heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. It's completely heartbreaking. Just awful. Poor Viginia. Anyway, as I say, I hope she's resting in peace. I don't think anyone will ever forgive Andrew. But do you know what? To me, it's not just Andrew. It's Charles. It's like the whole royal family. They're just disgusting, I think. Disgusting. They're just mired in, always have been, mired in sort of horrible, they're just in privilege. We've seen what it does with Diddy. Money, privilege. people thinking they can do what the hell they like because all these little people don't count. Only they count. You know, there'll be all sorts that has gone on in the royal family. Andrew is just a small part of it. He's just a small part of it. The royal family don't care about anybody else's life or whatever. They never cared about Diana. Even the Queen, to be honest, and I don't mean Shamila, I mean the proper Queen. Even she didn't really care about Diana. It's all about keeping this ruling family going, you know, in this modern age. And people still think they're bloody brilliant, you know. People will, you know, be nasty about somebody who's, you know, not got, who's struggling just to survive. People look down on that and they never look up to these horrible people and see how they use people, you know, for their own objectives. And I include Charlie Boy, Shamila, the whole royal family. There's none of them. I won't give you tuppence for any of them. What is so special about them? They're just lucky enough to get plopped out into the royal family. They haven't done anything to deserve it, to deserve, you know, what are the merit things that they've done? Nothing. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about, this is not about a rant about the royal family. This is about Viginia, respect for Viginia. So she's been buried secretly. And yeah, I'm not surprised because her family, they won't want, what's the word? They won't want her to be, you know, they're probably sort of sick, if you like, of her being, you know, in the public eye. Now, I was reading the, let's have a look. Done the voluntary castration. I've done the Ukrainian guy assassinated in Madrid. So let me just have a look at where she was buried. Bless her. I think there was a lot going on in there, in her private life. You know, her and her husband had split up, so that won't have helped. Obviously, I think there was a lot going on with Viginia, but you know, at the end of the day, because of what she'd been through before, she just couldn't cope probably with the other things that were going on in her private life. So it's taken place in private in a service held in Australia. Just 41 years old. I mean, that's so young, isn't it? Anyway, she died on her own farm in near Gabby, about 80 kilometres north of Perth in Australia. And she has reportedly been cremated in recent days. Earlier this week at Pinaroo Valley Memorial Park in Padbury, with her death not being ruled as suspicious. You know, I don't know about that. Maybe it was suspicious, but, you know, can't get more suspicious than Randy Andy. Anyway, following her tragic death, her family spoke out in a statement saying she was a fierce warrior in the fight against SA, but the toll of abuse became unbearable. She lost her life to self-deletion. In fact, I'm going to share this because there's a nice picture on here of her with her dogs. There's always dogs. There's always a dog, isn't there? You know, and unfortunately, even her dog couldn't help her feel better. Same as with, you know, dogs tend to make you feel better, but where's that picture gone? Oh, there it is. There she is with her dog. And that's off her Instagram. Bless. So they said she will be missed beyond measure despite the adversity she faced in her life. She shone so bright. She would be missed beyond measure. And the children described her as the light of, she described the children as the light of her life. So apparently the service was held privately and not made public knowledge, which is fair enough. And there, of course, is that infamous photo that it seems that Jeffrey Epstein took this photo. He had stuff on Andrew. When he met Andrew in that park in New York, they met in the park because there were no cameras there, or they thought, though that was probably Epstein that took the photo of a meeting in the park. But there were no tape recordings. That's why Andrew went all the way there to talk to him as well. He didn't want to put anything down in a text or in a phone call. He went there, went off to the park to talk, and Andrew, thought he was being clever, but he still wasn't clever, enough, because Epstein made sure a photo was taken. So very sad for Viginia, but anyway. And of course, remember, he paid millions to settle that civil suit, even though he said he was innocent. Because that's what you do, isn't it? When you're innocent, you pay millions of pounds to your accuser. Because that's what you do when you're innocent, idiot. And not only he's an idiot, but he thinks we're all idiots as well. That's even more scary. Even more scary. Not only he's an idiot, but he thinks the British public and all over the world are also idiots. But do you know what? Unfortunately, some of them are. But anyway, there you go. So that's the next thing off my list. Where am I going down here? So we've done Viginia. Yeah, so we've done, right. So I've got two more things. There's one that I forgot. Very quickly. Sorry, I've just got to have a drink because my throat's gone dry. We've been talking about Paul Valeria, the Mexican influencer who was literally shot dead on a live. And we've been talking about her. We talked about her in the members on Thursday. And I just want to show some photos that have come up in the Spanish news of Valeria when she was young. Well, I say when she was young, she was only 23, 24 when she died. But I mean before that, before she was an influencer, before she got into all this, when she was a model. And even we're going to look at a photo of when she was, even younger, when before she was in even modeling at all. Again, so very sad. So Valeria Marquez started her career as a model, and these photos have come out. Look how beautiful this girl was, or was, whatever. Look at how beautiful. I mean, oh my God. I mean, maybe it's got some filter on it. Maybe it's got some touch up on it. But really, really beautiful. Her eyes, everything about her. So beautiful. And just shot dead, literally on a live stream. Honestly, I literally cannot get over it. It really upset me for days. I could not stop thinking about her. And in fact, last night I actually dreamt about her because it's just so awful what happened to this girl. They've got to catch the people who did this. Is it so dangerous to be a TikToker now or on Instagram? Is it so dangerous just to be beautiful? She's beautiful and she was proud of being beautiful. And why shouldn't she be? Why shouldn't she be beautiful? She brought pleasure to people who like looking at her, like following her account. There's nothing wrong with that. she did, you know, she made the best of what she had, you know, which was beauty, and she was clever with it. She had about 100,000 followers. And then some fucking idiot just walked in and shot her. Like she didn't matter, you know, like she didn't matter at all, shot her 3 times. I'm so angry about this, can't tell you, and it's so upsetting. So anyway, this is a friend of hers, a friend from before she was famous, who's posted these photos that she had of her. So she was Miss Rostro 2021, Rostro's face. So she was Miss Face. In 2021, she won this beauty competition. So it says here, in these images, the Mexican influencer appears with a very different appearance to those recent, because of course she did have plastic surgery, she dyed her hair blonde, etc. So this is the more natural look from when she was younger. This photo as well, just so, I mean, she was a natural beauty. So many young girls, they are natural beauties, but they always think, especially in this day and age, they think they need to do more to look even more beautiful. But actually, she was beautiful as she was. She didn't need plastic surgery. And then there's a picture of her here. Look, when she was young. We got a video there. Let's watch. So, I don't think I shared that actually. Let's see. No, not that. I don't want to share that. I wanted to share the video from before. Hang on. Here we go. When the night was full of terror. Just want to go back to that bit. Oh. So yeah, there she is with her braces on her teeth. Just a young girl dreaming of being famous, you know, not thinking that one day she'd get shot on a live stream. You know, that this Valeria case, it has made me so angry, so upsetting. Anyway, her friend says, rest in peace, Flaquita. Flaquita, I think that's like skinny or something like that. I will always remember you as a beautiful woman. So yeah, these pictures that have been released by friends who knew her before she was a TikToker. Sorry, I've got to swap it to that. And there she is. Bless her. Oh. Now I can feel myself getting upset now because I'm talking about sad things, but I have got something cheerful to tell you at the end. I've saved a positive thing till the end. Now, have I got am I on the positive thing now? I think I've... Oh, so before we get onto the positive thing at the end, you know, like the news years ago where you always finish on... you always have to finish... No, not wombats. Not wombats. No, something completely different. Anyway. Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat. Now, I'm going to have a little waffle before I get on to the final thing. So part of the reason why I couldn't end up doing the Diddy thing yesterday was... right, where do I start? So I'm waffling now, So, you know, I have students from all over the place, Spanish students. One of my students lives in France, and I was sending them a book. And I was sending it through Amazon, you know, one of my books, because they're on to the next book. So somehow, God knows how, I've pressed the wrong button and I've signed up for French Amazon Prime. And I just didn't realise. Didn't realise that I had. And I didn't realise until suddenly €6.99 went out of my bank account for Amazon Prime. So I'm thinking, $6.99. I don't remember it because I have got Spanish Amazon Prime. I do use that. But that is in fact, I think it's $4.99. So I remember seeing this going out and thinking, $6.99, has it gone up? You know, everything's gone up. So I just thought it had gone up. So I didn't really take that much notice of it. Then a couple of days ago, another Amazon Prime goes out my account for $4.99. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, hold the phone. They've only just taken $6.99 off me. Why are they taking now another $4.99? Anyway, I had to go into the investigations. Well, I'm sure you all know what it's like. It's when they want to take money off you, that just comes out. When you're trying to get it back, you can't find how to get it back. So I didn't realise at first it was from the French Amazon Prime. So I go through all the... you're trying to contact them, you're trying to get a phone call or get on the chat or whatever to contact them. Anyway, in the end, I got in contact with the Spanish one and I said, look, I've paid 2 Amazon Primes. I've paid a $6.99 and a $4.99. What's that all about? And so it was them who told me, look, we can't do anything about that because you're in touch now with Spanish Amazon Prime, and that amount that went out $6.99 is French Amazon Prime, and you've got to get in touch with them. I mean, what? So I'm not trying to get through to French Amazon Prime, but guess what? It's all in French. Oh dear. So luckily, I do know quite a lot of French from years ago. But, I mean, I don't know that much, but with what I know and with Google Translate, I did manage to get through. But they didn't have a chat. They didn't have like a chat thing. You had to ask for a phone call. So finally I got through and they did phone me. To be fair, they phoned me instantly. But of course, guess what? They're talking in French. So I'm saying to this poor woman, look, I don't speak, je ne parle pas français très bien. Like, honestly, it's amazing what comes back to you. So I was saying, I don't speak French very well. But as I'm trying to talk to her, all this sort of combination of French, Spanish and English, like a gobbledygook, is coming out, but somehow she managed to understand me. So I said to her in French, do you speak English? Parlez-vous anglais? I thought, I sound like one of these expats out here in Spain. I'll be shouting louder in a minute, just hoping that she understands me if I shout. Maybe she understands loud French, you know. Anyway, to cut a long story short, and it was quite a long story, it went on for quite a long while, but her English actually was quite good. She was saying to me, my English is not very good, but it actually was quite good. And between her English and my French, I managed, and I'm saying to her, je ne voudrais pas Amazon française, j'ai Amazon I said Espanol, I think. I don't know how to say Spanish in French. J'ai, and I put the accent on, like j'ai Amazon Spanian or whatever. Anyway, she understood what I was saying. So I was trying to say to her, look, I'm happy with the Spanish Amazon Prime, but I don't want to pay for French Amazon Prime. I must have pressed the wrong button. When I ordered something. Anyway, when I finally got through, she was so efficient. And she came back to me and said, I I won't even try and say it in French. I'm trying to say it in Spanish now. Dentro de una semana, in a week. I think it was a week, 7 days or something. You'll get your reimbursement. It was reimbursement. And you know, can I help you with anything else? And I started trying to ask her about something else, and in the end I said, no, you're all right, go and have a nice evening. And she was saying, oh yeah, buen soirée, or I mean that'll be rubbish French, but I did understand what she said. She was saying have a good evening, so I just repeated back to her what she said. Then I got an email to confirm and did it. So we'll see. Now, I haven't had the money back in my account yet. When the money comes back in my account, then I know it's 100%. But that's part of the reason, because all that, which in the end was quite quick, but to get to that point, just even to find out why I'd been charged this money, took about 2-3 hours on the computer. And by the time I'd finished with that, I just couldn't even go back on the computer. I just turned it off. So that's what happened to me with Amazon Prime. That's my little bit of waffle. French waffle. French waffle. Yeah, I should have got a subscriber. I'm a content creator. I wouldn't know how to say that in French. So let me cross that off. That's my bit of waffle. Oh, that's it. I've only got one more thing to tell you about now. Yeah, well, I was sort of half thinking that, Angel. Well, maybe she did, because I wasn't really sure what I was saying. I was just saying we, like in the end, we. But I could have been saying yes to anything. So we'll see. Okay, so we're going to finish now on one last thing, one last story that I want to tell you about that is really positive. And this is, let me get something up. Now, those of you who follow my channel regularly will know that one of my guilty pleasures is Antiques Roadshow. Not Antiques Roadshow, Bargain Hunt. And one of my favourites, in fact, my favourite person on Bargain Hunt is Charles Hansen. Now, I did a video about Charles because, of course, Charles was accused of DV, wasn't he? And I did do a video about it. You know, ages ago, didn't I? Now, you can never think. You just don't know who's watching your videos, because I'm not going to go into details because I've been asked not to, so I won't. But let's just say I received an email about that video, and it was a very nice email. It wasn't horrible. And anyway, as I say, I can't go into the details of it because it's confidential. And that video you will not find on my channel anymore, let's put it that way. And now the good news is he's coming back. He's coming back onto our screens. And so he was not only he was exonerated for DA, but it turns out it's actually his wife. He's been through a lot. He's been through hell, basically, this guy. Now, there's only one thing worse, in my opinion, than a domestic abuser, and that is someone who accuses someone falsely of domestic abuse. And I think this is what happened in Charles's case. And Charles, of course, he was found finally not guilty in court. Let's have a look at him. Charles was found not guilty, wasn't he, in court? And he's coming back to our screen. So let's have a look. Bless him. Oh, this was when that that first edition copy of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone sold for 28,000 on Bargain Hunt. Let's see if I can. Oh, where's that gone now? Where's it gone? You have to watch the advert first, unfortunately. Come on. We had a copy of this, and I'm sure it was exactly the same as that. But of course, our copy did not, you know what, it got so well read and what have you, it ended up getting thrown away. So it wasn't a copy in a pristine condition like that. Oh, so I just love Charles. If I ever went on Bargain Hunt, which I probably won't ever get on Bargain Hunt, but I'd love to go on it, I would like him to be my expert. But anyway, there you go. I just want to actually find, bye Geordie Lass. Of course, he had cancer as well, Charles, and he recovered from cancer, didn't he? So he's been through pretty much hell, really, hasn't he? Bless him. You know, what with the cancer and the accusations and what have you. But he's coming back on our screens, and I think that's a good thing. I just want to find where he actually said it on his own. He did say it himself on his social media. Let's find it. There we go. Let's try this.
Charles Hansen returns to Bargain Hunt. Fans celebrate comeback after not guilty verdict. Fans rejoiced as Charles Hansen made a much-anticipated comeback to Bargain Hunt on Monday, appearing on the latest episode of Series 66. Joined by fellow expert Christina Trevanian in Staffordshire, Charles took the stage at Bishton Hall, wielding the gavel once more. His return marks a new chapter after a hiatus from TV screens since 2023, following his clearance from assault charges against his wife. In a heartfelt message on social media post-episode, Charles expressed gratitude to his support.
I want to see Charles's own social media announcement. Sorry, I'm looking for it.
Construir un palacio para tu gato, llenar la nevera de magret de pato, hacerte un peeling ultra caro o un parapente para tu tía Amparo. Hay 1000 maneras de vivir.
I want to see where Charles said he was coming back, but I'm trying to think. I follow him on all sorts of things, but let's see. Anyway, it doesn't matter, he's coming back, but I just want to... No, that's the wrong Charles Hansen. Oh, let's just watch this.
I just want to say thank you. I've had so many messages on social media, having been seen performing today on television. It means an awful lot. So much kindness in messaging to me. Thanks so much. Evening all. I just want to say thank you. I've had so many messages on social media, having been seen performing today on television. It means an awful lot.
So the thing is, Charles just seems like such a nice person, doesn't he? Oh, look, you know, Jurgen Klopp. I don't think Jurgen Klopp looks very well, does he? He's poorly, this guy. Let's see. I don't know where he actually announced he was coming back, but anyway, he's back. That's the main thing. So there you go. A bit of something positive to finish on. Somebody being vindicated. You know, not everybody is guilty who goes to court or whatever. Sometimes, you know, people are innocent, and I do think that Charles is basically, you know, and I've got a lot of reasons to think that, even more reasons to think that now than I had before. He's a very nice person. And you know what? When these women accuse, you know, I'm the first one, as you know, to any man that's performing domestic abuse on a woman, they deserve everything they get. But when a woman accuses a man of doing it, when he's not done it, she's not only doing a disservice to that man, but she's doing a disservice to her children, and she's doing a disservice to all women, because that means, you know, telling lies like that will always make it more difficult for someone who's telling the truth to be believed. And that makes me really, really angry. It's like stalking, you know, women who accuse people of stalking when they haven't, you know, because that means they've, you know, if you've been stalked, you would never accuse someone of doing that, because you know what real stalking is. To accuse someone of stalking you or doing things to you that they haven't done is a terrible, terrible thing to do. But anyway, there you go. Yeah, exactly. It affects the women who are telling the truth. So, you know, exactly. And that's wrong. That's wrong. For those kind of women, they don't care about other women. That his wife, who accused him of domestic abuse, and there was no justification for it whatsoever, she's a narcissist. She doesn't care about other women. She doesn't care about her children. She doesn't care about anything except herself. She's a horrible person, in my opinion. And if one day I'm proven wrong in that, well, but he's been to court, he's been found innocent overwhelmingly. And now he's got to rebuild his life, because those sort of accusations, they stick, you know, they stick, don't they? You know, and he's had to sort of wait, bide his time, and now he's coming back. And I'm glad he's coming back. So, okay. So I'm off now. So that was a whole long chat. I say I'll probably split it up into individual videos, and hope the police never find this list that I've got here, which is basically photo Valeria, the young lad in Scotland, and then we've got the chemical castration, and Amazon France, what the other things, I can't read them very well. Tenerife, rotting bodies. You know, there's all sorts on here that you won't want the police to read, because they'll be thinking, what's she talking about? Anyway, thank you for being here with me for a chat. Hope you've enjoyed a little chat. If nothing else, I'll see you really soon in the next video. Tomorrow is another day, as they say in Gone with the Wind, and we'll see what happens in the mushroom murder trials tomorrow. That's going to be important. Okay, thank you again. I'll see you really soon in the next video, and until then, as always, may your God go with you. Thank you.